TAP is an excellent program. The people that are doing all these programs, they're really well-intended, awesome individuals. So this is not, this is about how do you merge what's happening in this world, the outside civilian world, business-wise, with what's happening in the military, and TAP is trying to help people with a transition. I think what we have here is an opportunity to bolt around, and give TAP what it's missing to really give veterans a way to make money. Like you guys are saying, like you're saying, no matter where, like, you don't listen, nobody ever has to hire me, man. Straight up.
Yeah. Hey.
I'm nobody.
It's what it is, man.
Nobody has to hire me. I know how to make my money on the market and the mortgages and do my thing. Now clients have to hire me, right? People have to work with me. But you see the skill set. It's not rocket science. I'm no nuclear physics, dude.
Oh, it's from the
let me just pop in real quick. So the area of what, Lou, you're talking about that would be most important for us to pop into would be what TAP talks to very, 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 very broadly and very briefly, and that's being an entrepreneur.
Yep.
Going into your own business. And then even when they talk about it, they will shift it over to somebody else to talk about it, as opposed to them getting into it to talk about the things that you need to do as an entrepreneur, blah, 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 getting funding, blah, 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 blah. But so we are a niche, and we could literally be a part of a, one of the TAP programs, walk in and go, okay, so we know that you guys are getting ready to go. We know that you're ready, that you know you're already talking about updating your resume, looking at what jobs are out there, looking at where you're going to move next. What are you going to do about about money? Well, you know what? We're getting ready to address all of that right here. And one of those things is you'll never have to worry about where you're going to go to live, because this goes with you. You know what? You never have to worry about money, because if you work with us and we get you licensed, you can make money anywhere, no matter where you are. And here's how you can do it. But these are the things, in order for you to do it, this is what comes along with it. One, you got to be teachable. You got to be coachable.
And if you guys would have come in my TAPS class with that pitch, I'd have been knocking people out of the line to get up front. 100%.
I've seen your size, bro. I'm sure you can knock a couple people over pretty easy. All right. So with that said, let's transition, given the timing here.
Sure.
Tell us about your experience with being trainable in the course, because that's a major. You know, I could take someone right to, hey, this is what you need to do, a mortgage business,
right?
And, or any business, by the way. And what I have learned throughout the decades at this point is, like raising a child, raising myself, raising an adult, raising a career transition, it doesn't really fully work. It doesn't work because putting a knowledge base in your face is hit or miss, mostly useless, unless you could transition your past experience and see where it bolts in. Right. Doesn't matter if you've just been a parent your whole life, been at, your level of education your whole life, anything in between. If someone is not trainable, they will always, I'm going to say it this way, but I could back this up. If someone's not trainable, they will always be a victim to circumstances.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Always. It's just forever victim, very light, very little, almost undistinguishable, unnoticeable, but an addiction nonetheless.
Yep.
And once you break out of that, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. I do have a say on how my life goes. I always have.
Right.
So I'm gonna share, please.
Yeah, then that was the that's what about being trainable. The course is what vastly exceeded my expectations. It was something I had to take the long road to learn. And I have it written down here, is you can change your mind. Veterans are literally recreating themselves when they get out. You have to. or like Russ said, it can go very dark. What I really, really liked about the being trainable, and what I agree with in my core, is the mindset of being trainable. Of if you're closed-minded, if you say I can only learn this way, or this is my belief system, this is my moral system, whatever it may be. If you're set in stone in the way you are, you're not going to grow, and you're gonna more than likely just you're only going to be able to get what's given to you. So the mindset part of being trainable, the ability to open your mind to new information, to basically learning how to learn. And Louis, we've discussed on previous meetings like this, is, if you learn to earn something, no matter how many times you lose that something, you know how to earn it. And that's what being trainable is to me, is learning no matter what happens, the mindset of I'm going to be okay because I know how to learn to do something else. A lot of veterans are getting out of the military and are confident that they can learn to do anything. That's why, say for an example, like a gunner's mate in the Navy, a person who worked with weapons for 4, 5, 6 years. To say that man can only, or that person can only go out and work with guns in the civilian world is crazy. He was taught how to learn. That's the biggest thing. And at least that's where I had trouble in job interviews and whatnot, was explaining to them, yes, I don't have any experience in this field, but if you give me 1 month, I'll know it. I'll learn it because I know how to learn. If you know how to be trainable, if you know how to, and I want to talk about this later, the difference between being coachable and being trainable. If you know how to be trainable, if your mind is, I guess for the lack of a better word, malleable enough to where you could be taught and you know how to be taught and you're not closed-minded to being taught, the sky's the limit. What's stopping you from doing whatever you want? And then on top of that, you have this opportunity to take control of your own destiny, which you haven't had for a long time. So I was vastly impressed with it. I have a ton of notes here. It'd take me forever to go through them all, but
well, I like what you said about the mindset.
Right.
I love that.
That starts with that. I think that's at a baseline. If you're a closed-minded person, if you're set in your ways, as it were, you can't do anything with a person like that.
But it doesn't even have, I agree with you. And I'm going to say, yes, I agree with you. And the mindset with some of us coming out of the military is, being angry.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I experienced it myself.
Yep.
Why angry? What's the source of the anger?
For me, it's a sense of, it's not really well placed, but it was a sense of abandonment.
Yeah. How about you, Russell? What's the answer? No, it's all right. Just trying to give. I know we're kind of hitting the title of things, not the full.
He's very right. Yeah.
What would you say the source of it is, Russell?
Well, the source of the anger is you just feeling like you didn't make the decision.
Right.
And sometimes that even though you say, well, you know what, I'm ready to leave, but you're not set to leave. And what I mean set to leave is that you make a decision that I want to get out of the service, but the path to getting out is not solid. There are curves and bumps and potholes in that path because you've not gone through that path. Some of it can be brand new, or some of it can be retraced and you never repaired it before you left.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I hear two little quick things, and for the purpose of this call, really, William, you're the one I want to hear your notes on being trainable, because that's what
yeah.
for the audience. I hear two little things. One is, in raising my children and my daughters and those of us that are parents, as they get older and they want to go live on their own, really seeing, and you're not ready to live on your own. You think you could live on your own. You have no idea what it's going to take to live on your own. And you want to make sure that as a parent, you want to make sure the kids are fully functioning and self-determining enough to actually go live on their own. So it's an art practicing as a parent. And another example would be, so it's almost like you're in the military and you have this potential guardian called, the government, let's say, who you'd think would make sure that you're prepared to go live on your own.
Right.
Just an analogy. Obviously, we're not talking about children. We're talking about adults here. And then the other side, I also think of the analogy of, I've worked with a lot of people in relationships and they go through breakups. And usually what someone has to accept in a breakup to really get past it, usually, and I could assert this for just about everybody, is how they got duped in the relationship. And they trusted somebody, they gave their love and soul to somebody, they had children with somebody, male or female, they financed their existence, whatever. And that person cheated on them or whatever, and they got duped. I'm not saying the military's duping anybody. No, I'm saying that people are leaving with the potential experience of, shit, I feel like I got duped. And you didn't get duped. The problem is you didn't get distinctions to be trainable. You have the distinctions, but you didn't transfer them.
Right.
Or you're going into an environment of a workforce. Not everybody in the workforce is like this, but I've seen enough to say way too many are like this, where they take advantage of veterans and other people too. But it is, I'm disgusted by it. Hence, here I am having this conversation with you guys.
Sure,
I'm
yeah.
to make a difference about it. So anyway.
Hard workers are gonna get the hard work. That's unfortunately.
They'll ride you until they can't ride you anymore.
Exactly.
So,
right.
But to your point, Lou, I'm just gonna go back to this one point that you made, and it's a great point that you made, that the military, it's not that they don't, you're not being taught to live on your own, but as a matter of fact, the military can't afford you to think about living on your own. The reason being is because there's a hierarchy and there is a paradigm for which you have to fall underneath, so that when they say take that hill, you're not contemplating something else other than to taking that hill.
Right.
So there's a leader. Right. There's a leader follower. There's authority that's all in. There's a whole thing about being able to get people to do what you need them to do. And, the military is very good on, giving you enough autonomy to do what you need to do the way you need to do it. As they say, we're not going to tell you how to crack that nut, but you still got to crack it.
Crack the nut. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, but when the reason why you get that 24 months in that transition is to be prepared to go to live on your own, to go to do your thing. But the problem with that is that transition doesn't become proactive on the service member's behalf. And they can literally procrastinate to one day they wake up and they've got 60 days to get the heck out of the military. And before you know it, it's too late. Because all that other time they've been contemplating, they've been talking, days go by, weeks go by, months go by. And what was 24 months is now 12 months. What was 12 months is now 6 months. And what was 6 months is now 6 days. And you're like panicking and don't know who to talk to. And the next thing you know is you're packing up and you're calling everybody and saying, hey, look, I'm on my way home. You mind if I sleep on your couch for a little while? You mind if I come home, mom and dad, and stay in the basement for a little while? I promise I won't be long, and I'll be looking for a job. And before you know it, and I'm just telling you what I've seen and what goes on. And before you know it, that individual can come home and they can do all right for a little while, or someone can come home and you think they're doing all right, and they're literally depressed.
Yeah.
They're literally going through some other things. So to get back on track, what we're talking about and what Billy's talking about is that being trainable and being a part of this team, if we can get to you before you leave, there are things that we help you with and get through before you wake up and go, well, you know what, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it and who I'm going to do it with. But you know what, doggone it, military could have done a better job. Whoa, wait a minute. You've got some skin in this game too.
Right.
But here's how we, as the Lone Lions, can bring you into our pride so that we can help you help yourself. And you know what? We'll also, when we're done with you, you can decide to leave the pride or you can decide to stay along with the pride. But one way or another, you will be prepared to go out and go be on your own.
I guarantee you there's mortgage companies across the country who'll take you.
The preparedness, like you just said, the preparedness to take control of your own destiny at that point in your life when you're facing all that uncertainty, man, it almost sounds too good to be true.
So Bill, let's hear your notes on being trainable, because I know time-wise you got like 20 minutes here. And this is actually a fantastic segue. And I didn't really hear this before, but I'm hearing it differently now from what you guys are saying, that if someone took, let's say, the being trainable course, the training that we could provide for people, in the first month, let's say, before their 2-year through TAP,
right?
What do you think is possible, and what are some of the distinctions you could say you got from the course? What are the distinctions you actually got? And I'll say this last sentence, because everybody throws around, hey, you know, you could be in charge of your destiny. Hey, you could change your mindset.
It's a buzz term.
Yeah, which is useful.
Yeah.
But I know, and I think you know at this point, I'm very clear that, but that's nice, but the distinctions that are actually embedded, like being a fully functioning person and being able to have a conversation with anyone, anywhere, anytime, anyhow, about anything, without throwing a tantrum, without doing the silent treatment, without walking away, without getting angry, without all those things that are, when you do those things, if you're a functioning person, and at least if you're working with one of us, whatever your reaction is, if you're willing to have the conversation with me, that reaction is the yellow brick road to distinguish what do you need to complete to go be powerful and take full advantage of TAP.
Absolutely.
Take full advantage of your military experience. Take full advantage of what's available in the entrepreneur world, the mortgage world, whatever the business world. But you got to handle those fundamental, being a functional person in all areas of life.
Absolutely.
So
that's actually speaking of distinctions in my notes here, what I have here is, what you were just talking about, section